Hello, everyone. Officially beginning
Welcome,
our
welcome.
Soulfield Sunday. We're in the mini series on maintaining choicefulness and moving from soul in the context of a world that is partially fake and vying for our attention. And how do we do that? And so we're going to continue that series today. And we have some juicy, wonderful things coming in for all of us. So we're so glad you're here live with us. And also for those of you who are here via recording in the immaculate time space that is dissolved when we enter into the soul field, we're here with you now as well.
Yes, thank you for joining us. For those that are new to the series, not new to the series, new to Soulfield experiences, we talk about the temple of divine perfection. And this temple holds everything that you may want to release or hold while we are experiencing here things with each other, and anything that you want it to be transmuted or just held temporarily or dissolved, you can just put it in the temple right there. And so we start our gatherings lighting a red candle. And if you have one, we can light it together. If not, you can imagine having one. And so as we start together and light our candles, we allow ourselves to submerge. That's the word that is coming. To submerge our entire being in this flow, in the soul field, and let us be taken and cared for together in this experience. And we begin with a prayer. We'll put it on the screen.
We come with grateful reverence and open hearts to drink from the deep well of our eternal nature. As we dive into the soul field together, we are held within a sacred and holy embrace by the source of all love, light, and grace. In this eternal now, we actively invoke our unique pathways to source and the beings of love light that support our divine evolving. We allow our mind, body, spirit to expand into the holy realms where magic and miracles are commonplace. As we minister to ourselves, we minister to one another and our family humanity. We recognize that we are one in the holy wholeness. We allow all we do here today to ripple out through our lives as a living witness of divine grace for the benefit of all beings.
Venimos con corazones agradecidos y abiertos a beber del profundo pozo de nuestra naturaleza eterna. A medida que nos sumergimos juntos aquí en el campo del alma, somos sagradamente acogidos por la fuente de todo amor y gracia divina. En este ahora eterno, pedimos que se abran nuestros caminos hacia el Creador, juntos con los seres de amor y luz que apoyan nuestra evolución divina. Permitimos que nuestra mente, cuerpo y espíritu se expandan hacia los reinos sagrados, donde la magia y los milagros ocurren constantemente. A medida que atendemos nuestras propias necesidades, asimismo atendemos el uno al otro y a toda nuestra familia humana, reconociendo que somos uno en la totalidad sagrada. Permitamos que todo lo que se haga aquí hoy continúe fluyendo en nuestras vidas como un testimonio vivo de la gracia divina para el beneficio de todos. So beautiful. what we the next step in sharing our prayers and tuning into each other and ministering with one another, what we also want to do is to infuse ourselves with an affirmation. And this affirmation is either by rubbing the acupuncture points of your ear or tapping on your sternum gently. This is the K27 point. And so what we'll do is, let me share this is the prayer, the affirmation that we're going to infuse ourselves with. So I'll start the first sentence, and then you repeat out loud the sentence, and then I'll say the second and you repeat. And we're gonna do this 3 times. So you can choose to do your ears or your chest, whichever you prefer. I am grounded in my soul values.
I am grounded in my soul values.
I see clearly what is for me and easily choose that which uplifts and glorifies my life.
I see clearly what is for me and easily choose that which uplifts and glorifies my life.
I am living soul sovereignty, choice by choice.
I am living soul sovereignty, choice by choice.
I am grounded in my soul values.
I am grounded in my soul values.
I see clearly what is for me and easily choose that which uplifts and glorifies my life.
I see clearly what is for me and easily choose that which uplifts and glorifies my life.
I am living soul sovereignty, choice by choice.
I am living soul sovereignty, choice by choice.
I'm grounded in my soul values.
I am grounded in my soul values.
I see clearly what is for me and easily choose that which uplifts and glorifies my life.
I see clearly what is for me and easily choose that which uplifts and glorifies my life.
I am living soul sovereignty, choice by choice.
I am living my soul sovereignty, choice by choice.
It's so interesting. I want to hold this for a second there, because this second sentence, I see clearly what is for me and easily choose that which uplifts and glorifies my life. We came up with this 2 sessions ago, and what's interesting is that today we're going to be talking about that specific piece, which is how the universe works. You know, it gives us information ahead of time, and now it's like, oh, that's why. I was getting goosebumps just reading that, because it's resonate with what we're talking about today.
And so we begin vibrating with the intentions of this series, that opens us to receive the transmission and the goodies that are coming. And so this is really today about how we open to divine support in every area of our life. And how, when we do that, that moves us to attune to what's truly life-giving. So in that sacred opening, it sort of becomes a buffer to those things that would pull us out of integrity with what is truly life-giving for us. And so
Yes.
we're going to start by talking about how we ask, how we receive, and how in some ways we can get pulled out of the space of connection because of belief systems, etc. And we're gonna talk about, you know, what happens when that occurs and how that impacts us.
Yes. In our previous gatherings, for this series, we started talking about how to make choices when you live in a world that you can't not really trust what is there, what is real. Some things are fake, some things are manipulative, and it's difficult. How do you make a choice, right? Your attention is completely taken. That's such a commodity right now, your attention. And today we want to understand how we can actually access the right information, how we can tap into that exact divine support that allows us to make the choices that are in our highest good, without getting confused, without getting distracted. And um, a lot of the times we think with our human mind, and we forget to tap into that, the infinite intelligence within us and around us. We forget to tap into that and know that we can be supported.
Mhm.
I don't know about you, but I grew up thinking that I had to work hard to make things happen, right? And so when I'm tapping into source is like, well, what are you talking about? You don't have to work that hard. But inside of me, I I I have a limited view, right? And within limited view, we have just the way that I see the world is based on all of my experiences. The father that I have, the mother that I have, the country that I grew up in, all of those things create constructs. They create preconceived notions of what life should be and how I should be.
And when those constructs are operating, we, without knowing it, we will sometimes take these certain aspects of our life outside of the divine embrace rather than really understanding, like, no, this too is held. And we forget to ask sort of big and to ask clear and to release control, to release our preconceptions, to actually truly surrender these parts of our lives into the divine embrace, into holy connection. I was working with someone recently doing some hands-on healing work, and I was asking them um, to release into the divine, into their connection. They're very connected with Christ. So to release into Christ this pain. And after the healing, they were reflecting that while they had spent lots of their lives understanding why these severe traumas occurred and how they were growing them and what they were inviting them into in terms of sacred service, that it never occurred to them to ask for the pain to be removed, to ask that they no longer have to carry the nasty energy that was part of that trauma. And it was such a reminder to me, like, that's right. When we have these places, we forget to surrender them into the divine embrace. We
Yes,
we forget, you know.
yes. I've 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 been listening to this audiobook, and in the audiobook they have a lot of different examples of ways in which we can ask big. And there was a story of this woman who she had to get on a phone call, but her umbrella was ripped and she couldn't replace it herself, and she had to go on the phone call, and she just surrendered and said, okay, God, take care of this, please. And knowing and trusting, like, I'm not gonna hold this anymore. I need you to take care of this. And minutes later, this guy popped in and said, hey, ma'am, do you need your umbrella repaired? Because I repair umbrellas. Yes, thank you very much. And so showing up, that support shows up when we are clear and also when we surrender, right? Because what what happens very often is that we ask, but we ask, I want it to be this way, this way, this way, this way. I want it to be, I want this very specific conditions. And so it's sort of like we put limits to what the universe has for us. We put limits to the greatness that is available. And why do we put those limits? Is because that's our construct.
Yeah.
You know, if I were to tell you, you can have $1 million, you know, some of you might be like, oh my gosh, $1 million, that's a lot of money. For some of you might be like, $1 million. I can't even buy a house in San Diego with $1 million. Like, that's nothing, right? And so the construct is very different for each of us. So when we're asking, we need to see, what are those limitations? What is my programming? Some of my programming is I have to work to deserve it. And that's something the gift that my dad gave me was to learn to work hard for what I want. But I'm also taking it to such a level where now I don't deserve to have all the abundance that I want.
Mm-hmm.
And of course I do. We all do, can have that. So for example, growing up in my household, we were not poor, we were not rich, we had just enough. And so money wise, for the longest time, it was, I just have enough to pay the bills. That's all I have. But when it came to finding a parking spot, it's crazy. I can manifest a parking spot like nobody's business. And my friends joke with me and they're like, oh, come on, it's like packed. How are you gonna find a parking spot? And I'm like, get out of the car, you're ruining my vibe. So I'm gonna find a parking spot like easily. But the reason why I find a parking spot easily is because I don't have cultural programming or life programming that tells me that there's not an abundance. You know, growing up, I didn't drive. I didn't need to park. I have nothing connected to parking, nothing. So for me, finding parking is like, oh yeah, why not? Done. And so if we can identify that programming, we can actually start aligning to what divine guidance wants for us and bringing it to us with so much ease, that it just makes it easy to live this life and have what we want and need.
Yeah. Nancy, speaking about our own personal stories that put limits on the divine because we've put something in a container or we've set it outside of what is truly possible. And excuse me, one of the things that's in this conversation as well about asking and receiving has to do with clarity about what we're asking for. So I have told this story. Some of you may have heard it. It was just this moment of powerful revelation. Years ago, I was feeling depleted and I kept like praying. I just like, give me rest. I need rest. I need rest. And I kept like saying to myself and other people, I just need some rest. I just need rest. And I was driving in the car and I was singing praises, which is often what I do when I'm driving in the car. And this loving message, I feel God come into the car and say, is it rest that you want? Or do you want to feel rested? Do you want to experience vibrant energy? And I was like, oh yeah, I don't care if I rest. I care that I feel vibrant energy. I don't want to spend my life resting if I don't need to. I just want to feel vibrant energy. I want to feel restored. I want to feel enlivened. And when that shifted, I'm literally driving down the road and I feel myself plug into the earth and all this energy start coming into me. And I feel grace just pouring out on me. And I'm just like, I am alive. I could like if I was driving the car, we'd be going 1,000 miles an hour. I was just like, pew. And it was this recognition like, oh, I've been asking for how I think it comes, not for the thing itself. And I
Yes.
call that the red tricycle syndrome of manifestation, like where I want it this and that, versus like, I want to feel vibrant. I want to give my gifts. I want to, like this. And when we do that, then we allow and we remember that God, Goddess, their way is always greater than what we could come up with on our own. Like we don't have to figure out the how at all, because the how is in a divine, abundant flow that wants to uplift us, that wants to enliven us. And it may not always come as like sunshine and roses, right? It may come as a parking place, or, you know, I I remember this time early when we moved to the Bay Area, and I had been in just a large prayer in my life at that time for the next level of spiritual expansion. There was so much growth, and I was just like, all right, bring it, bring it, bring it. And I woke up early in the morning and I was squatting down to get out of the refrigerator all the vegetables and fruits to make my green drink. And I popped up with all this energy, and I popped right up into the freezer door that stuck out, and it knocked me backwards, broke my nose, laying there like seeing stars, going like, what is this? And Spirit says to me in this very loud voice, the sacred geometry of your body temple has been off since you broke your nose when you were 17. And this is the fastest way to align the geometry of your body temple. And I was like, oh, okay. And what I watched happen after a period of recovery, that I would not have chosen any of this, like, right? But after a period of recovery, there was an explosion of consciousness and an integration of things that had been coming for years, and a movement out into the world in a way to offer my gifts more fully, right? And so sometimes it doesn't come with, a nice bow. Sometimes it comes with blood and whatever else like that. But if we let go, Spirit is always moving us into greater wholeness. Always, always, always.
Yes. There was another example that I wanted to mention. This woman wore glasses, and she was like, oh, I just don't want to wear glasses anymore. I'm sick and tired of wearing glasses. Like, I hate glasses. Like, I don't want glasses. And so that's the prayer that she was sending out. So her glasses kept getting lost or broken, all of that. And when the clarity of her prayer should have been, I want perfect sight. And so being clear, and I put it on the chat, being clear is so important, but also asking big. We limit ourselves, right? To, like, I remember my daughter was like, Mom, what do you want to, how much money do you want if you want the lottery, or if when I make it big in music and all that? And I'm like, oh, just, I don't know, give me $1 million or whatever. And she's like, what? That little? And so imagine I'm constricting myself when there is so much. But what happens very often is that we don't surrender. We don't surrender because we think, well, this is all we can have, or we don't surrender because I think this is the way, and we keep fighting with what is. When Luminaria told the story earlier to me, it wasn't like, oh my gosh, I hate this refrigerator or whatever. It was more like, whoa, what is this? Like a complete surrender. Like, what's the message? Of course, it was painful. And sometimes we go through life and experiences that are very painful. But if we can surrender and be curious, when we can understand that we are in partnership with the divine, when I'm looking for my parking spot, I'm not like, oh my gosh, I hope I get a parking spot. I hope I get one. Where is one? I don't have that energy at all. My energy is, I know there's one. I'm just waiting to see which car is going to move. So it's a positive expectation. And I don't care which, like sometimes 2 parking spots come out. I'm like, well, thank you for the extra abundance, but I'm completely having a positive expectancy, but also I don't have any attachments to that.
Yeah.
It could be for another minute.
Yeah. This phrase we put in the chat, release attachment to how and allow. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And this is really our work. Release attachment to how and allow. And the allowing comes in from the place of knowing that the divine embrace is there holding us and all of our life if we will allow.
Yeah. And the mind, because we have all those personal constructs, the mind is going to interfere. You know, the mind is going to be like, well, that's not possible. That's too much money, blah, blah, blah. And so sometimes we have to start with something that doesn't feel so charged for us. So if I were to ask, I want $1 billion, my mind is like, $1 billion. Oh, listen to her. Like, it's not possible. So I have to start where my mind feels comfortable and then stretch, 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 and gather information and trust and surrender and know. So my mind doesn't interfere. My mind can calm down a little bit, but also calm in my whole self and looking for evidence, asking for evidence and saying like, show me, I want to see it. And it happens. I swear to you, it happens.
So
Enough with
Nancy's talking about being in connection, and we've threaded this through everything we're talking about, which is that place of being in sacred connection, letting that be part of it, right? And in that space of sacred connection, there is receptivity, and there is listening, and there is receiving, right? And so our desire that comes from soul, you know, the part of me that was asking, can I rest? The desire that was coming from my soul, if I were to ask what that is, it wasn't for rest. The desire from my soul is to be a light unto this world and to feel vitalized while I'm doing it. Now, that is something that we can see and feel like the divine, however we relate to that universe, God, goddess, Christ, Buddha, like the divine is behind that. You want to be a light unto this world and feel energized while you do it? Heck yeah. Like, let us bring everything there is for that.
Yes. And sometimes we see only what's in the forefront. And if we could just for a moment ask, okay, why do I want rest? Because I'm feeling tired. And so what is it that you truly want? Is it rest or not feel tired? I don't want to feel tired. So how do you want to feel instead? I want to feel energized. So if I say I want $1 billion, what do I really want? I just want ease, period. Do I need $1 billion to have ease? No, it can come in so many other ways that why not allow it to be that way? But because of our constructs, we think this is the only way. It's not. Just let God take care of it. You know, let the universe support you and show you the way.
So one of the things that happens when we are not in this kind of asking and sacred receiving and allowing the parts of our lives to be held in the divine embrace is that we can get distracted. So we can feel discouraged, we can feel alone, we can feel, oh, see, things are not going my way. It's not how I thought it was going to be. So there must not be support. And in those places when we feel alone, in those places where we feel unsupported, we often will go into things that are simply distracting us from our life rather than inviting us into a divine co-creative relationship. So we'll go to, whatever that is on social media and spend hours there. Or we will, do the thing that is less life-giving rather than the thing that is more life-giving. Because we default into those places that are, you can see me even like squinching down in my seat. We default into those places that are more protected and where we're reaching for cultural answers or the answers of our mind rather than opening to the grace, rather than plugging in to the place that can transform those limiting mindsets, that can transform the limiting behaviors, that can enter us into grace. So we find ourselves sort of pulling into what we would call sort of old adaptive patterns rather than being an active co-creation.
Yes. When we are not practicing our spirituality in a consistent basis, our connection to source, to everything that we have available, and we get distracted with the humane life, it's not that you shouldn't live life, but stay connected, stay attuned. But when we forget to connect, then we see ourselves limited. We see ourselves in the mindset of like, well, no one has my back. And that's not true, right?
Mm-hmm.
The whole universe has your back. But we default to those behaviors, to that mindset. I'm alone. I have to do this by myself. And so you staying here and communing with each other and being a part of this gatherings means that you are making the choice to be here, to connect, to ask guidance, right? Because it's so easy. Like for me, it was so easy to scroll through social media in the evenings. I'm like, okay, I'm done thinking. I don't want to think anymore. Let me just scroll. But it was not soul given for me. It was actually like I could feel my soul being sucked. So I'm like, I'm going to delete TikTok. I'm going to delete all this. What do I want to do that really lights me up? And I've been wanting to relearn French. Like I used to be fluent and I forgot it. And so I'm like, you know what? I'm going to download Duolingo. And I just started relearning French and Duolingo. But that was a choice. That was a choice. And the choice came from within, from this feeling of, I want to connect to life, not disconnect from life. Life is beautiful and given and amazing. I want to connect to that.
Yeah. So as we kind of have sprinkled some ideas and transmitted a little bit, we were also very clearly given this week a methodology that is actually something we're going to use together for an entire year. And every fourth Sunday when we meet here in the soul field, we're going to invoke this particular sacred support. And this particular sacred support is really about opening the truly interdimensional portals that allow divine support into every corner of our lives. And so we've been talking about some of the ways sort of mentally we limit ourselves, but we are limited in ways we don't even understand. And we're cut off in ways we don't even understand because we as a people have lost touch with some of the truth of our magical mystical nature, which is why we come here together in the soul field, is to remember that. And so this invocation of grace is about opening those connections to support our remembrance, to support our sacred awakening into the beings of beauty and light and grace and love that we have the capacity to be, and letting go of exactly how that happens, but just opening into receive.
Yes. And we're not just this human body, as Luminary was saying, we are connected to each other. It's sort of like an invisible web that connects us to each other. And it connects us to our ancestors. It connects us to all beings. It connects us to dimensions out in space. And so when we say that we are supported, I promise you, we are supported, because there's so much that we're not seeing that is here holding us and helping us, and embracing us. And so with this meditation that we'll do today, we're sort of like going to clear all those connections, make sure that all those connections are as clear as this body that we're embracing, this life that we're living. And it's gonna be amazing.
So we're going to use the technology that we've used here before. If you're new to this, sacred geometric light emanations, it's an invocation of intelligent light frequency that intercommunicates with our biospiritual system. And when we call it into particular forms, that allows the light to work in particular ways. And in this particular way, like we said, this sacred geometric light emanation is about opening the interdimensional portals that allow for divine support in every corner of our life. And so we're going to invoke a geometry called the web of life. And Nancy and I are going to put it up as our background so we can talk about it a little bit. There's Nancy with her web, and here's me with my web. And so in the web of life treatment, Nancy, would you mind just coming slightly to the side of the web so everyone can see the center of it? In the center of the web of life treatment will be you, and you live right there. And in those radiant pieces that come off of it, you can see these radiant pieces here. In the radiant pieces, that will be one particular frequency, one particular flame, the light emanations, we also sometimes call them flames, one particular light emanation. And then the connecting piece that makes up that spiral, that Nancy's showing, will be another flame. And so the flame of the radiant pieces, and I'm seeing based upon who's here today that there's someone for whom this treatment will not be a surprise. This treatment actually came earlier, I think exactly a month ago, in a very sacred way. And when Nancy and I were meeting, it was like, oh, we're bringing this and we're bringing this. The radiant pieces of the web are going to be a flame called ultimate interdimensional wormhole activator. It's a mouthful, ultimate interdimensional wormhole activator. And so you can imagine that at the end of those radiant pieces is literally like a portal that opens us to whatever dimension of consciousness is wanting to come in service of us, whatever we're already linked to that has nourishment medicine. So you might think of it like, oh, look at Nancy's opening the wormhole there. Can you see that? So this is about accessing other dimensions that can bring in sacred support. And the radiant flame will be the flame of ultimate awakening. And the flame of ultimate awakening is this beautiful sort of indigo light flame that goes from very, like almost like a rainbow or an ombre, from very, very light indigo to very dark, sparkling indigo light. And I think I forgot to name the color of the other flame, the ultimate interdimensional wormhole activator, is neon light, and it's neon sort of lemony yellow and neon bright blue light. And so this, we're showing you this and we're describing this not because this is a visualization, not because you have to be able to see it and you have to do something with it. This is an invocation of grace. And so the intelligent light will come and it will do what it needs to do. You are very small. You're in the very dot of that center. And this web will spin around you in whatever way serves your greatest balance, your greatest harmonization, your greatest alignment. And so each one of us will receive a different dose, so to speak, of this. And it will give us exactly what our spirit is needing. We're going to invoke this. We're going to start with a little meditation to create receptivity. We're going to invoke this. And then while it's working, we're going to guide a little bit of meditative practice to support another layer of really receiving and moving into attunement. So if you've been taking notes, I invite you to set things down. If you've been slightly occupied anywhere else, inviting you to just come fully into this moment. To allow the awareness to drop inward. And as you do, feel yourself landing fully in the breathing. Feeling, sensing, receiving the breath. And as you come into your breath, you come into your body temple more fully. And in that coming in, you also recognize the exquisite beauty of being in this field together. Those of us who are gathered live, and those of us who are in the internal now of the recording, we are in this together. And there's potency in that. And as you feel your breath, and as you feel your body, and as you feel this shared field of energy, you feel yourself plugging into the very center of the deepest desire that you have for this incarnation. That may not even be conscious, but it exists, and you plug in there, you link with that deepest desire in this now, in this body. And you let that desire open you to receive the beneficial frequencies of the flames and geometry we're about to invoke. And so we call forth the flame of ultimate interdimensional wormhole activator. The flame that is neon lemony yellow and neon bright blue light. To form for each of us the radiant pieces of the sacred web geometry, where we are in the very center of those radiant pieces that move out from us in all directions. And we call forth the flame of ultimate awakening, the flame that's a sparkling indigo rainbow of light, to form the spiral connection linking all of those radial pieces. And as this web of life is built by these flames, you'll feel that energy coming into you, this flow of life-giving energy. And the web of life will begin to spin around you in whatever way serves your greatest opening, alignment, and activation. In direct alignment with your highest and most beautiful soul journey. And we allow ourselves to receive this, feeling these light emanations in this geometry, ministering. reworking. And you can feel yourself held in this web of light. And in that holding, you feel a strengthening, like even right through the spine. And as this geometry is working, the sacred waters are there. And you feel yourself opening into that well, feeling the flows of liquid light. And as these energies continue to remind you, your human shell, the physical body, sort of almost like starts moving to the sides and opens up. And the light of the center of your being is so bright and so strong, moving up and down and to the sides, expanding. And you can feel this remembrance of who you are. And as that happens, you feel the potent sacred stillness. You allow yourself to deeply rest into that. This holy place. In this place, you don't feel needy. You don't feel compelled to do something. In this place is the remembrance that all needs are tended in the divine embrace, and that all the dimensions of consciousness that you are connected to, all the sacred pathways of connection are open. And while you continue to receive here, we're going to play the song for our series. Just allow yourself to rest and receive. As you begin to make a gentle transition, allow yourself to stay in that sacred stillness and in that deep receiving. We often make a little space for sharing, and today our time has gotten a little short. So certainly if you'd like to put something in the chat thread, please do. Also, Nancy and I will stay a few minutes after we have our formal closing if anyone wants to share something about their experience.
Yeah. There was so much stillness, so much holding, like being held.
Mhm.
There's no needs. Like I don't need to be needy because I don't need. I'm provided for. It's gorgeous.
Mhm.
This is beautiful, beautiful. Um, so as we are heading to our time together, I just want to remind you that we are planning a summer ritual for August 11th. That's in lieu of summer solstice, solstice. And so we're going to have it on August 11th. And also, I'm going to post the links on your chat. You'll see it. These links are for our Facebook group. If you want to join us and join the community, we would love for you to participate in the community and commune with each other, minister each other. This is about building this together. We also record this without certain things. We record it and we put it on YouTube. So if you want to review this or you want to share it with someone, you're welcome to. We have an Instagram presence. We also have a soul field website. So if you believe that someone should be joining this, please send them to our soul field website so they can sign up to our mailing list and they can be automatically receiving the email reminders. Also, every every time we have a gathering, we we have the opportunity to receive donations and tithing. Giving is also part of receiving, and as we are also receiving tithing, we are selecting a section of that or a percentage of the tithing to someone in need in the community, someone who might need something or want something. It's available for you. If you need it, just tell us and
Yeah.
we'll be happy to do that.
Send us an email, send us a text. There's as these soul field gatherings have happened and people have donated, there's some accumulation. We have some funds. We're intending 10% of that to go back to the community. So please do let us know.
Yes.
Seeing some beautiful chats coming through of experience to love, to give love, to receive love, to deserve love, to love. Love is. You don't have to move. We will carry you. These beautiful experiences. And this is really it, the remembrance that we're held and the invitation to put all of our lives, every corner of our lives, in the divine embrace, and to surrender and let go of the how, and to just allow that grace to move in your world. From our lived experience and from witnessing others, we know that there is immense, exquisite beauty and fulfillment there when you do that. So I invite you.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
We are fully supported. Mm-hmm.
I'm going to speak our closing prayers. And let's see. Can that be seen, Nancy?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
We are deeply grateful to have experienced miraculous communion with our holy wholeness in the soul field. We wholeheartedly receive the upliftment of one another's communion and blessed soul light. As we close this formal gathering, we each in our own way will continue dwelling in the soul field and supporting our collective evolution. With deep gratitude, we thank one another and all our angels, guides, and guardians. Remembering as we minister to ourselves, we uplift one another. We encourage the magic we co-created to ripple out to all our relations for the benefit of all beings.
Estamos profundamente agradecidos por esta experiencia milagrosa de comunión con nuestro ser sagrado aquí en el campo del alma. De todo corazón recibimos la comunión de cada uno de nosotros y de la luz de nuestra alma divina. Al culminar formalmente esta congregación, cada uno de nosotros, de manera personal, permaneceremos aquí en el campo del alma, apoyando nuestra evolución colectiva. Con profunda humildad, agradecemos el uno al otro y a nuestros ancestros, ángeles, guías y guardianes de luz, recordando que cuando predicamos con nuestro ejemplo, nos elevamos el uno al otro y alentamos la magia que acabamos de co-crear para que se expanda a todos para el beneficio de la humanidad. So we're going to hold our candles again, and as a reminder, you have the Temple of Divine Perfection. If you want to leave stuff there, you're welcome, but it's always open for you to use. And so as we blow out our candles, we close this gathering. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, beloveds.